Good morning. Already about to make my second cup of coffee. Yeah, sounds like a good plan to me. Oh. Well, that was unexpected. I forgot that my Beetlejuice cup is in the wash. Morning, Renee. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do this. Are you making slime? I think no. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it looks like coffee. I don't know. What do you think? You tell me. It's so interesting to me. So interesting. So interesting. What do you use for what, sweetheart? For coffee? It's an espresso machine. Yeah. It's an espresso. It's a good one. I like it. I'm very happy with it. Actually, I think there's a number of us who do book club that are all Nespresso users. Does anyone else have their coffee already? Who's got their coffee? Hey, Haley. You have a Keurig because you're lazy. Isn't a Keurig also pods? Am I crazy? Why does that make you lazy? I think that just gives you bad taste. No, but seriously, why would that make you lazy? Your coffee's long gone. That's fair. That's fair, Renee. All right. Yeah, it's pods. I'm confused how that's super different as far as like energy-wise goes. I know, yeah, but it's just plain coffee. I don't do the espresso stuff. You can do plain coffee with an espresso as well. It's a choice. Nespresso stresses me out. Okay. I don't super understand that, but I'm going to roll with it for your sake because I think you might find that it's exactly the same amount of effort as a Keurig. I think. I don't have a Keurig, so I don't know. So many options. Are you sure you're thinking of the same thing? Hey, Juliana. You're headed to the store. Yeah, I'm going to be going to the farmer's market soon. Good to see you, though. Probably different models, but I don't know if that's true, Shelly, because my sister has a different model than I have. Her in-laws have a different model than she has, and my best friend Autumn has a different model than even I have. So I don't know. I've seen so many different models of machines, and they all function very similarly. I got an old Keurig where you just press a button and go. That's what you do with an espresso as well, though. You just press a button and you go. I don't really understand. I'm so confused. Yeah, maybe. Are you talking about flavors, Shelly? But doesn't Keurig also have multiple flavors? Am I crazy? I'm super confused. Hey, Shandy, good morning. Like, listen, live your best Keurig life, but all I've noticed from people who have Keurigs at their house is that it just doesn't taste as good. But it doesn't take any less effort. Like, the milk goes in the actual machine. That's a different machine, Shelly. That's not an espresso. Espresso machines don't have the milk go in the actual machine. Yeah, Shelly, I think you're confused, sweetheart. That's not an espresso machine. That's an espresso machine, possibly. Yes, Nespresso has superior coffee, but the milk does not go in the machine. I've been to the store and seen like a bunch of them. I don't think there's a Nespresso. Maybe it's a commercial one. Oh, well, that's different. You wouldn't have that in your house anyway. Why would you have a commercial Nespresso in your home, though? That doesn't make any sense. Just get a regular old home people kind of thing. I don't know. Hey, Shira, do you put the milk in your Nespresso? No, right? Yeah, exactly, Paige. Exactly. Yeah, Shelly, I think you might be looking at something different. I'm a lazy coffee drinker in general. I have a milk frother, but I never use it. Yeah, my mom doesn't use it. She just comes, has the pod go out and pours milk in the cup. That's all she does. It's super fast. Yeah. I love your mug. Thank you so much. I also love my mug. Time for me is 7:43 a.m. I am a little bit on the tired side. My mom accidentally woke me up at 5 a.m. and then I fell back asleep a little later. I used to have one, the Pixie. It's super small. But we're going to read today regardless. We're going to read today regardless of how tired we are. And then I'm going to go to the farmer's market with Catherine and Zoe. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Let's dig right in to chapter 14. Chapter 14 says, Jericho, morning, exhausted. Dude, how did you see that last night? That was wild. I was watching so many videos and then I saw your message and I was like, how, that was so crazy. So insane. What was the, I guess you don't have any answers. No one has the answers yet. But that was wild. Absolutely wild. Couldn't believe it. Freaking insane. Freaking insane. You almost got trampled. Oh, where's the DOS area for Phantasmic? Shelly, the dragon lit on fire at Phantasmic yesterday. Like real fire, not part of the show. So many people running towards us to film. I bet. It was everywhere. I saw it so many times on my FYP and everything. On the boat docks. Wow. So y'all are real close. The whole thing went up in flames, Shira. The whole thing. They didn't get it put out before it got down to the whole body of the dragon. I watched the end of one where you could see the skeleton of the dragon. Everything else was poof. I mean, it's a dragon. Hey, Patrick, how are you? It is a dragon, but it was wild. Patrick, did you see what I'm talking about? Patrick also used to be a pass holder. For anyone who doesn't know, Patrick's a friend of mine. I saw that on my FYP this morning. It's wild. Hey, Creations, good to see you again. Patrick, you guys don't have passes right now, right? You guys let your passes go this time? Engulfed. Completely freaking engulfed in flames. I sat there in shock. I was like, what am I watching? She's bad, but she doesn't deserve that. No, baby, it's not real. Oh, God. Oh, that breaks my heart. They'll bring it back. I mean, they're going to fix it. I'm sure they have insurance, you know what I mean? Like for the fire stuff and all that. But it was still, it was definitely shocking. In all my years, I've never seen anything like that. And I've seen Phantasmic. I mean, I used to work right there in Frontierland. So I've seen Phantasmic a couple hundred times at minimum. From our angle, we knew immediately something was off. Wow. At what point did the fire start, do you think? I guess you would never know. Wow, wow, wow. Absolutely wild. Where did you find instant snow in Italy? I can't find it anywhere. I buy my snow online at Snow Wonder's website. It was lighter fluid, was blue from our angle, and she was dripping. Wow. Wild. Wild. I can't believe you saw it in person when she sprayed fire. Oh my gosh. Definitely a leak somewhere. Huh. Coffee time, just wanted to pop in. No worries, Patrick. See you later. We're having coffee as well. We're about to start reading. Friggin' wild. Wild. Okay. Well, we're going to read, but thank you for giving us all the lowdown on what happened in person. Absolutely insane. I'm putting finishing touches on my Weasley sweater. Weasley sweater? Tell me more about Weasley sweater. I love the Weasleys. Oh my God, I love the Weasleys. Wow. Yep, there it is. That tracks. Okay. Thankfully all the cast members are okay. That's what I was worried about. I was talking to a couple of people last night and tagging in the post I'm knitting through Harry Potter book. That's amazing. I love that, Creations. That sounds real. Apparently, and I didn't even know it. It just hit me. Didn't realize that until just now. That was the moment for me. Realization happening in real time. I named my cat after the Weasley twins. Hey, hi Quinn, how are you? Yeah, my cat that you're a ginger too. Yeah, I have you as well. But the cat that I had for 15 years, his name was Fred, and he was a ginger cat, and he was named after Fred Weasley, and he had a brother named George. Okay. That tracks. All right. We have not started the book yet. We were just chit-chatting, Amanda. Sorry, I got on late because I was tired because my mom woke me up at 5 a.m. And then I went back to sleep, and I thought I was going to go back to sleep for an hour and wake up at 6:30 like I usually do, and I did not. I woke up at 7:30 instead. It is what it is. But we're going to read chapter 14, Jericho. In less than 10 minutes, I'd followed my newfound rogue friends below the streets of Flagstaff. We entered through the basement of an old building right across the street from the apartment complex where I fought them. It didn't take too long to fish out the guy that I'd left frozen in the ice outside, but he wasn't in the best of shape at first. Once his suit was back online, he got himself thawed out. Two men that I had my run-in with earlier broke off after a few minutes of walking under Red's orders. She told them to go east and watch whatever that was, and they left. Oh, she told them to go to East Watch. Did you post yesterday's chapters? I just downloaded it, but we could only read one chapter. Oh, wait, we didn't do yesterday. There was no yesterday. Sorry. There was no yesterday. Sorry about that. But today we go. Yeah. Since I wasn't sure if they were going to try and attack me on their own turf or something, I kept up my guard just in case. There isn't like a merry-go-round outside close to an entrance, is there? I heard myself ask Red while I followed her through the darkened tunnels. Powerful lights were mounted on the sides of their helmets, so at least we weren't stumbling around like blind beggars. Laughing, Red said, I don't think so. We have a sort of unspoken agreement with the rebels saying that we won't use each other's topside entrances. So you guys just leave each other alone? The Piper chapter was 2 days ago. I haven't posted that one yet. I just downloaded it this morning because it was a little bit on the long side and it took a little while to download, and then I need to upload it. But we didn't read anything yesterday. The Piper chapter was the day before. I asked, stepping into a frozen puddle and slipping a little. More or less, she said, there's the occasional misunderstanding that results in both of our groups attacking the same supply lines, and those are never pretty. Call me crazy, but it sounds like you guys are fighting the same people. Why not just unite? Red laughed again. I have to say it was really nice to listen to. A real, deep, joyous laughter that was easy on the ears. Tried that, mate. A couple of times, actually. Suffice to say that the leader of our humble group doesn't see eye to eye with the rebel one. You mean Beck, I said, and Red suddenly stopped, turning her bright beams on me. What do you know of Beck? I held up my hand, shielding my eyes from the brightness before saying, I met her once, 3 years ago. Cranky, but that Sheila's a handful, Red muttered. How'd you come to meet her? I don't recall ever exactly meeting you during a raid. I'm not from here, I said nonchalantly. I hear that, mate, she said, turning back around and resuming her trudge through the damp tunnel. Not from here my own self, but I got here as quick as I could. Uncommon to popular belief, there are actually a few non-Russians left trying to make a name for themselves on this frozen planet. Where are you from? Red chuckled at that. What do you think, mate? Granted, there ain't much left of what was there, the blessed outback after the bombs went off, but she's still hanging in there. A lot less Joeys and Crocs nowadays, though. Few dingoes left. Mind you, they're a bit bigger and meaner. I listened intently, hanging on every semi-sarcastic word that the thickly accented girl was saying. What about you, mate? Why'd you come to this wonderful sadistic city? I didn't know what to say. I hadn't exactly been working on a story to spin whoever might ask where I came from. I was probably too busy fighting for my life to think up a good one. Do you really want to know? Cranky? Why does everyone always ask that? Should it say crikey? It says cranky. Red laughed. So that's a yes. Spit it out, Jericho. We've got a long way to go as it is. I don't even know all your names, I said, and Red proceeded to introduce me to the rest of her squad, which was an older man and a younger girl. Devin was a cool guy, maybe in his late 40s, with a graying beard and shaggy hair. He didn't talk much, unlike the last crewman. A young blue-haired girl around 22 turned out to be Red's younger sister and was named, get this, Blue. I'm guessing you weren't born with blue hair, I joked to the talkative girl when Red introduced her and Devin to me before we started our journey down the tunnels. Sure was, Blue told me. Our mother decided on my hair color. I could tell she wasn't embarrassed in the least by her blue hair, which, on closer inspection, was a deep blue that didn't look dyed at all and was most disconcerting, let me tell you. And quite awesome. Dad got to pick my hair and eye color, Red informed me with a smile, winking from one of her blood-red irises. Blue got saddled with Mom's crazy ideas. Shut up, Blue said, and glared at her sister. At least she gave me green eyes and didn't make them match like Dad did to yours. Boring. After we were all acquainted, and of course after I had a ton of questions about how people could choose hair color and eye color of their unborn children, I launched into my story from the beginning, as I explained exactly how I came to be in Flagstaff. Maybe, Shelley, maybe. But he hasn't always had purple hair. When Turnaround Alan started, I think he had orange hair at the time. Or was orange the second color? He's had 3 colors since Turnaround Alan started. I'm not sure. And the answer to that hair eye color question was pretty simple, to them anyway. It involved paying your doctor lots of hollows, and then they give you 2 pills, and poof, your kid has whatever color you picked. Hopefully, whoever you are, you already know how I went from being a suave, time-traveling billionaire to a rebuilt, roboted, reborn Jericho 2.0 with a lightning mage capability, a buzz cut, and a super sneak mode. And cool clothes, too. I was just being silly. Oh, okay, yeah. Then I began my story, not really sure why I was telling it to them in the first place. I talked for a long time, and that was me summoning up the parts to save and skipping most of my time strapped across his table. Once I'd finished, we all walked in silence for a good 5 minutes. I was guessing that they were thinking about what I just told them and trying to decide whether or not to believe me. And finally, I decided to break the silence myself. How can we find Beck? Morning, Anya. You mean your girlfriend, Piper, Red said with a smile before sighing. Beck's base isn't far from here. Granted, I'm not overly fond of the idea of knocking on her front door to drop you off. That breaks our distance rule and she'd kill us, Devin said in his, That breaks our distance rule and she'd kill us, Devin said in his scratchy Australian voice. Are all rogues Australian? I had to ask. Mostly, Blue said. Immigrants. We stopped when we came to a fork in the tunnel, and Red turned to me. Here's the deal, mate. Either you can take a ride in the tunnel by yourself and walk half an hour to the revels and hope the Beck doesn't have you sniped before you get the chance to knock, or you can go left with us to our base and try to make contact first. I glanced down both dark tunnels, neither of which looked too inviting. I had to see Piper as soon as possible, even if it meant having to travel down a dark, damp tunnel alone. But my feet weren't moving. Give me a minute, I said, walking away from them and slipping my hands into my coat pockets, looking at the fork in the tunnel. Piper. What was I even going to say to her? She thought I was dead. Showing up after almost 3 years would be insane. I just didn't know. What if she had moved on with someone else? What if she was married or had kids or something? There was a darkness in the underground tunnels of Flagstaff in the year of our Lord 2345, and I made a decision that I would come to regret more than anything. I wasn't ready to face her, not by a long shot. Call me a coward, but I couldn't make myself go to her. Not yet. I think I'll go to your place, I told Red. Lead the way. We seemed to walk for a long time after that. After several twists and turns, honestly, I wasn't paying attention to where, and we arrived at a dead end. Wait, not a dead end. There was a door. A voice crackled through the intercom beside a small iron door that seemed to be wedged into the face of a sheer wall of ice. What's the password? Open the bloody gate or I'll kill you, Red said good-naturedly. In seconds, the loud grating of metal on metal resounded through the icy hallways, and then the heavy door began slowly opening. The way had become colder and icier in the last half mile of the trip, and when I asked Red why, she explained, well, we're actually closer to the surface than you might think. Our base is set up in what used to be a dam of some kind on the outskirts of the city, she said. I don't know if you've ever seen it enough of the future to know, but the ice doesn't exactly melt here. Oh, your MRI came back? What happened? What was the news? Once the door opened, Red told me to stay behind her just in case someone decided to put a bullet in my unrecognized face. We're a little weary of strangers here, Devin added from behind me. I was expecting a long hall of ice, but was instead greeted by an enormous chamber that went on for as far as I could see, and was housing an ungodly amount of people. We're talking like a lot of folks. The walls of the chamber were rounded off close to the top and bottom and looked like someone had... Did you guys dig this place? I asked in wonder. Most of it, Red said, glancing around as she'd finished a few minutes ago and was giving it final approval. What you're looking at is the frozen remains of Lake Mary. We set up shop here about 10 years ago after the Bears bombed our base within the city limits. Not a bad place, really. Somehow the large iron content in the frozen lake... Somehow the large iron content in the frozen lake water throws off scanners, so we're basically invisible. Love wine? What does that mean? I'm confused. You got good news? Let's see. Oh, love wins. Yeah, love wins. It's a Rocky hoodie. Wow, Lake freaking Mary. No wonder it felt like we'd walked for miles. Last time I checked in 2012, that lake was a good 12 miles from Flagstaff. Who runs this gig? I asked while still looking around like a nerd at Comic-Con. Pretty much the entire floor of the hollowed-out cavern was covered with the rogue populace living in everything from tents and makeshift lean-tos. I even spotted a few igloos, no doubt thrown up by the more industrious crowd. I did tell you that it was your lucky day, Jericho, Red told me. I sort of run this gig, as you call it. Sort of. Red's answer was a mere shrug. We had an excellent view of the entire layout because the door we entered through was located on a ledge about halfway up the ice wall, and sort of rigged elevator was about 20 or so feet to my left and seemed to be the only way down to reach the floor. Do these people ever leave? I asked, frowning and looking around the cavern for more exits. Did I mention that I could see really far now? Because I could. Yet another blade on the awesome Swiss hero knife that Jericho was. Thank you, evil Dr. Cross. Well, not unless they want to die, Blue muttered as we headed for the elevator, which turned out to be just a large iron basket, really, and didn't exactly instill a safe feeling in anyone riding it. What my irritating sister is trying to say is that none of these people have any reason to leave, Red explained as we all climbed into the rickety, rusted basket. Hitting a large green button, she added, all of these people have been deactivated from the HoloNet for various reasons, and trying to escape from a loved one, for various reasons, from trying to escape with a loved one to just trying to buck the system. Either way, they all ended up here most of the time with nothing but a cold death awaiting them topside. Depending on how high up they were, some of them have to lose a hand or even a forearm to get rid of their tabs. Morning, Abby. Why? I asked, trying not to gulp because I just remembered that I had a tab on the HoloNet as well. Well, the HoloNet's just a cheap way to spy on what's left of the world, Red spat, and I could tell that she had been on a soapbox more than once on this subject. Thankfully, we've been able to catch a lot of them before they come here so we can remove their holotabs. Otherwise, we'd have all our enemies beating down the door. The silence led all three set of eyes to rest on me, and I tried not to fidget. So, how long does it take to remove a tab? Well, it's kind of tedious, Blue said. Sometimes it can take hours. Good thing you're not from our time, or... Her voice trailed off. Red was watching me now. Very, very closely. Cross put one on me a few days ago, I blurted. He said it was an older model because the new one wouldn't be able to fly under the ray. Red grabbed my right arm with the tight grip of her battle armor, and the large iron hands clamped down on me. It didn't hurt because, well, I just didn't get hurt much anymore, but I could tell she wasn't messing around. What kind of test subject gets a holotab? She asked in a low voice. If Cross put him in an older one, then he'll be the only one that can track him, Blue said, placing one of her huge suited hands on her sister's shoulder. We need to check it first. I have too many people here to wait on checking anything, Blue, or if you've forgotten, we're in the business of protecting the innocents nowadays. Red shot a look at her. I was glancing back and forth between them and wondering just exactly which one of them was on my side. After a few seconds, I finally decided that it was neither, probably, that had my health and well-being on their mind. If this was such a big deal, then why had they just now thought to discuss it? Cross isn't interested in us, Red. Blue tried again. He may not be, but he sells weapons to the ones who are interested all the time, she said, sliding up my coat sleeve. Red, I'm sorry, Jericho, Red said simply to me. No, I struggled. Wait! And then she ripped off my arm. That felt like an extreme reaction. Felt like an extreme reaction. Just ripped off his arm. Like, I know they need the holotab off, but, did that feel extreme to anyone else? Wait, and then she's ripped it off. That's it, that's the end of the chapter. Armless now. Now he doesn't have a left arm. That's my stomach grumbling. Wow. Freaking wild. The next chapter's not too long. I think we can get through it. Wow. Weird. Didn't see that coming. Not gonna lie to you. That took me a bit by surprise. Yeah, it really did escalate quickly. Boom, arm gone, just like that. I know. Weird. Really escalated quickly. Anyway, chapter 15. No arm. It's not the name of the chapter, but it should be. We have to stop meeting like this. I don't know if you remember from my previous tale of heroic exploits, but I have gone on the record as stating that I hate the number 15. My last chapter 15, I actually tried to skip, if you recall, but you guys wouldn't let me. So I ended up having to go all the way back and explain it to you. And like I said, I hate the number 15. It's true. I was 15 when I first went to college, and also when I was almost killed by a girl's shotgun-toting father. A lot of other uncool things happened to me at the age of 15, but I'm not going to waste my breath on telling you about all of them because, as bad as they all were, I made it out of those scrapes with all my limbs attached. I screamed when Red ripped off my arm with ease due to her powerful suit, and I crumbled to my knees into the iron basket floor. Since I'd already lost my right arm before, there wasn't exactly a lot of blood or torn veins hanging out, but it was the idea of it. What the hellheim? I shouted at Red, who was now looking at my synthetic arm in her hands. She muttered, frowning at my arm. It didn't hurt at first, but I was starting to feel a dull ache, starting in my spine of all places. I'm sorry, I said between my gritted teeth as I cradled my leaking nub of my left arm. What was I thinking not telling you that I'm short a few body parts since the explosion? Oh yeah, I guess I decided not to tell them that cross bit of the story. Wires were poking out everywhere from my open wound, and every time I moved anything, a few sparks shot out from them. Why is it doing that? Devin asked. Blue got on her knees beside me, which didn't exactly help because of her battle armor, but hey, she tried. Cranky. Why does he keep saying cranky instead of crikey? Do we think that that's like a future thing? She breathed. Red, this isn't good. If there's an electrical reaction when he moves, then this is going to go all the way to his spine. It had to be done, Red told her. Meanwhile, as the two sisters exchanged heated conversation about me, my head began spinning, and I lurched into the side of the iron basket. Try not to move, Blue told me quickly as she stood. Power down, she said to the suit, and went to its knees again, and then opened at the back. What are you doing? Devin asked. You can't undock here. Help me out of this, Blue said, all business as Red reached under her arms, lifting her out. The pain had started subsiding when I found that if all I did was breathe, the fire in the back of my head wasn't blazing. You know this is illegal, right? Blue asked as she crouched down beside me. That's what I hear, I muttered. Nice coat. The inside of most suits was large enough for someone to keep on pretty much anything the pilot was wearing. Blue was rocking a white jumpsuit and a heavy hip-length coat with a fur-lined hood, which she put on covering her blue locks. Thanks, I made it myself. She gently turned me over to get a good look at my arm. Well? Red asked after Blue had checked out the lost arm situation. We were nearly to the icy floor of the cavern when Blue sat back on her haunches and sighed. It's not going to be easy to fix this, she finally said. It'll take me about an hour. It's going to look like Lucifer's hangnail afterward. Sorry, mate, she said, patting the top of my hood softly. Because of my sister's rashness, I'm afraid you're going to lose a couple of hot points. I felt drugged and sluggish for some reason, and I said, that's fine. God knows I had plenty to spare. Maybe now some of the other guys can have a chance to. And then I was out like a light. You know what the best part of losing consciousness was? I don't have to explain what happened during the 3 hours that I was out and in surgery. For once, I was glad that I wasn't able to access super sneak mode and watch Blue fix me up. The next thing I remember, I was opening my eyes while laying on yet another table with a blue-haired girl standing beside me. We seemed to be in a makeshift medical bay that was inside one of the many igloos I'd seen from the top of the cliff. It was kind of warm, really, for being inside a block of solid ice, and I was back in my loincloth. Great. There he is, she said with a wide smile. You got some good hardware in you, mate. Cross knows how to put his stuff together, that's for sure. I'm not his stuff anymore. Could have fooled me. You're loaded to the gills, arsenal-wise, and that screams Dr. Cross more than anything, she whistled quietly before adding, remind me to fight on whatever side you're on. Even then, you couldn't pay me enough hollows to be in front of you. No kidding, I asked, holding up my newly attached arm, flexing it around and inspecting it. You do a pretty good patch job, Blue. Not too bad, she said. Let's just say that I was able to save more of those hot points than I thought, she added with a wink. Speaking of hot points, I said, looking down at my pale frame, why am I almost naked? We were just going to toss you in a jumpsuit because the right sleeve was gone until we saw that it wasn't your average clothing. Red's trying to fix that now. She's not as fast as I am, mate. I'll say. She didn't take my clothing off, I muttered, glancing around the igloo. Can I ask you something? Blue asked suddenly. Shoot. So, what all can you do exactly? She glanced up and down the side of my body like a kid might look through a glass of a reptile house at their favorite critter. I kind of checked out before I had a chance to learn all my new bells and whistles, I told her. Blue pulled up a stool and then sat behind me, leaning her elbows on the table. Placing her chin on a fist, she looked at me in the face for a few seconds. Her liquid green eyes were narrowing, something like she was trying to read my mind. You look like you knew what you were doing in the apartment building, she finally said. I shrugged. I know, a few. I'm also pretty good at climbing up completely vertical surfaces with minimal handholds like a ninja. So we saw, she said, her eyes still fixed on me. How'd you learn to fix synthetic body parts so well? Don't take this the wrong way, but you're kind of young to be a nanotechnologist. Without taking her gaze off me or moving her perched chin from her fist, she nonchalantly tapped a finger to her temples. Imprints. You can learn anything as long as you've got the hollows. Again, don't take this the wrong way, but the rogue camp, although welcoming because I find it comfortably Viking-like, doesn't look like it's rolling in hollows, I said, turning on my side and propping my head up with the new arm. No, it's not, Blue said. Got imprinted back in Sydney by my rich parents. They had a lot of plans that had to do with turning Red and me into a couple of perfect beings or something like that. Why'd you come here if Daddy and Mommy were hollow-inaires? Blue rolled her eyes around and put her cute little lips to one side of her mouth before saying, basically, to get away from our parents. They were a couple of crazies. What about yours? Never met mine.
I got dropped off on an orphanage's doorstep when I was a baby, or so they tell me. Really? Yeah. And from such humble beginnings, you ended up doing extremely well for yourself, Blue said, smiling up at me. If being blown up, burnt to a crisp, and rebuilt by a mad scientist fall under the extremely well for yourself category, then yeah, I guess I've done okay. We both sat in silence for almost a minute, taking in each other, not in a flirtatious way, but in a genuinely curious way. And then I broke the hardening ice. So, where's a guy get some clothes around here? Blue stood and crossed the room to a few trunks against the ice wall. Squatting, she opened one and began rummaging through it. After a few seconds of apparently fruitless searching, the blue-haired girl snorted angrily and scooted to the next trunk. When she didn't find anything in this one, she got to her feet and slammed it shut, kicking it. Problems, dearest? I inquired, sitting up and swinging my feet to the icy ground. Not exactly, she said, turning to me, crossing her arms. It's just that I thought my ex-boyfriend, Sam, wouldn't have taken his clothes back so quickly. Those clothes would have been the best thing I'd ever gotten from that crock, she muttered in a sort of good-natured fashion, if the smirk on her lips was anything to go by. What, was Sam not into blues? Look at me, mate, Blue said, sweeping her hand from her face to her feet. Does it look like anyone cares what color my hair is? I couldn't help but smile at her ego. To be honest, it was good to finally meet someone To be honest, it was good to finally meet someone like I used to be. Blue said it in a joking sort of way, but I could tell she was sort of serious, too. Just as well, she said, crossing back to me with the blanket she'd robbed from her cot. He was a big bloke, and his clothes probably wouldn't have fit your pale frame anyway. Accepting the blanket I got from her, I slung it around my shoulders and narrowed my eyes at her. I used to look like the god Apollo, Blue. Next time you're tied to a bed for 3 years, I'll check on you to see how your tan's going. Cry me a river, mate, she said, tossing me a pair of boots. And my tan is permanent, thanks to my parents. Man, the future is just full of surprises. Being able to pick your baby's hair, eye color, and not to mention its skin tone sounds like something that people would have taken hook, line, and sinker back where I'm from. Once I'd pulled the boots on that were too big, I followed Blue out of the igloo and into the rogue mega camp. Phew, chapter 15 is complete. Since all that really happened was that I had my right arm ripped clean off, I'd say that this particular chapter 15 turned out pretty decent. Nothing too life-threatening happened, making me start to feel a little more at ease with... And then I was tackled by a big guy that I wasn't even 10 paces out of the igloo. An ogre slammed me up against the wall, and I felt steel on my neck and almost sighed. Really, 15? Like, literally a sentence away from ending this thing. Chapter 16 looks really short. I think we can do it. Yeah, it's only 8:14. They're not coming to get me till 9. Who are you? The man... No, excuse me. Who are you? The man grunted out dangerously, and I felt the sharp machete bite into my neck. Listen, friend, I said in a low voice, grasping his large wrist in my newly fitted right hand and slowly removing the blade from my throat as I shoved him back. I don't think we've been properly introduced. I now had both of his wrists, and he couldn't pull away. Name's Jericho. Who do I have the pleasure of punching? He was a big guy all around. Big frame, armed, necked, and handed. You name it, this dude had it all in plus size. He wasn't exactly fat, I noticed, even though he was an easy 350, but he was about twice my size in every way and about 4 inches taller than I was. And he had a sort of small blonde afro going on too, like he wasn't accustomed to a lot of hair maintenance or even looking in a mirror every once in a while. The scruff on his neck and chin wasn't blonde, but a sort of darkish red, and what little there was of it was wired and a tangled mess. Sam, he said, and I saw a bead of sweat run down his cheek from trying to break out of my grasp. Oh, the ex, I said, releasing him, and he instantly stepped away, rubbing his wrists and scowling at me. By this time, a sizable crowd had gathered to watch the exchange, and Sam turned his scowl on them, shouting, What are you lot looking at? The crowd went back to their rogue business, and the large man turned back to me. I was coming to get Blue, and I saw her coming out of her quarters with a naked man wrapped in a blanket. What was I supposed to do? I don't know, I said, adjusting the blanket around me. Maybe try and not kill the naked dude? What kind of man attacks a guy who's only wearing boots and a blanket anyway? Since I could feel the cold now, I was starting to think that the suit Cross had given me was the reason I was so resistant before. I'm sorry, Sam said, his head drooping a little. I guess I lost my head for a second. Yeah, you've been known to do that, Blue said, appearing beside me. Jericho's the new guy everyone's been talking about, Sam. He's not my new boyfriend. And then she glanced at me and smiled. Not at the moment, anyway. Ignoring his ex, Sam placed a hand on my shoulder and said, I'm sorry, mate. Let's be friends until the day we die. That was a strange sort of way to ask someone to be a BFF, I must say. But then again, this was a strange new normal as far as I was concerned. I don't know about you, Sam, but I could use a friendship that lasted until the day I die. I didn't feel the need to tell him I pretty much died already. I appreciate it, the big man said, extending a hand. As Al Green would say, oh, for the love of all that's holy, stop with the Al Green quotations, Blue said, placing her hands on her hip. You keep going on and on about that stupid music thing you found, and yet no one cares. That sounded a bit harsh, mainly because I would have killed a hobo for the chance to hear some Al Green. Red needs you in the council, Sam told her. That's all I had to say, you crazy. Okay, I said in a sing-songy voice, laying a hand on Sam's shoulders before he could carry out the insult directed at his blue-haired ex. Listen, pal, you're already a friend of mine because of the Al Green thing, which I will be asking you about later, mind you, so there's no need for name-calling. Sam nodded and then pointed at Blue, narrowing his eyes. Just be glad my friend is here, or you would have been burned. So, Blue, what is it about this council? I asked. I used to sit in on a few war councils back in the day. I'm sure that they wouldn't notice a guy wrapped in a blanket if I tagged along. I fell in step behind her, and my new homie, Sam, followed me. I don't mind, Blue said, although I am sure that the main topic will be why Red decided to bring you back, and it's not really a council considering that there aren't many members on it. We traversed the maze of tents and igloos for what seemed like forever because, well, I was still wrapped in nothing but a blanket, and it seemed like it was taking longer than it should have. All the people we passed would stop whatever they were doing to stare at us when we went by, sometimes shooting their small children inside their respective places of abode, leaving the clothes that they'd been washing or the meat that they'd been roasting outside as they followed their children inside. I finally decided that the rogue parents didn't just want their kids marred by a naked man being escorted by. At least that's what I was hoping anyway. This notion was shattered by Blue saying, "They're afraid of you." What? I asked, truly not expecting that. Why? I didn't do anything to them. Don't sweat it, Jerry, Sam said as he troped behind me, glancing at the latest woman to tell her children to get inside. Most of these people are runaways and cast-offs. The cast-offs aren't worried about someone noticing who they are, but the runaways sure are. The huts and hovels began thinning as we neared the other side of the cavern. While I was passing the last few, I noticed something. Say, Blue? Yes? Why didn't I see one man in the camp? It was true. I saw lots of women with their children, a few little boys littered here and there, but that was it. There aren't many men around, she told me, stopping in front of an iron door in the ice wall. All males topside are tagged with a military-grade holotab by the Reds when they turn 12 and are trained before they're sold to the Bears or the fascists. Yeah, that's a thing, Sam said when he saw my aghast expression. I used to be a handler for one of the warehouses before I found my way here. I wanted more information, but my escorts seemed to be done talking about the seemingly normal child trafficking of their time. I changed the subject. Well, however you got here, I'm glad that you did, or else I may never have gotten the chance to hear Al Green again. Found it topside a few years back, he said, smiling. What kind of device is it on? Red little thing, he said. Says Zune on the back. I totally used to have a Zune, I said excitedly. Frowning, Sam asked, really? Where'd you find yours? Before I had the chance to tell him that I ordered it from Amazon, I remembered that I hadn't exactly told him that I was from the past. He's from the year 2012, Sam, Blue said like it wasn't a big deal. Sam's eyes lit up. I heard that crazy Sparks guy had almost cracked the theory of time travel back when I was in the program. He did it then? Well, I'm your half-living proof, I said. If I survive this council, we'll talk about your Zune. Nodding, we were silent for almost a minute. Then he said, do you miss your time? A little. Any regrets? I thought long and hard for a second. Well, I did end up missing the Avengers and the election. It's time travel, friend, Sam said with a smile. If you ever get back one day, all that stuff will be there waiting for you. Our elevator ride ended with a shudder, and we hit the bottom. I hope you're right, Sam. Hope? It's the past. What could go wrong? You'd be surprised. And that's the end of that chapter. All right, not too shabby shabs. We are at chapter 17, page 114, and we got to get to page 440. So we still have, you know, a good 300 plus pages to go. But we will chug through and hopefully be done before John gets back from the rig. I am going to be on live later doing slime stuff, but it's going to be a different kind of slime stuff. I'll show you guys. It has to do with the grab bags. I don't think I'm going to make slime, but I think we're going to catalog slime for the grab bags and put them in those little capsules. It's a fast read. That's good to know. So I'll probably be on in the early afternoon, right when we get back from the farmer's market. It's going to be fun, and you guys will get to see how the grab bag is going to go down. So I will see you all later. You're going to be traveling today? Where are you going, darling? I'm going back to sleep. Have a good day. You too. Feel better. Where are you going this time, B? You're always traveling. I won't be on. My final will take 6 hours. Oof. All right. I'm going to the farmer's market. Then I'll be back for slime stuff. See you later. Bye, guys.